Good evening, everybody, and Shabbat Shalom to the 12 tribes of Israel, scattered abroad, and believers in Yeshua Messiah. Welcome to Hidden Manna. I'm Pastor Dave Sain, Senior Shepherd here at Living Manna Church. Thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. It's a beautiful, beautiful day here in the Northeast. I'm thinking it's probably that way all over the state. But but knowing Brother Max, it might have snowed up by him. Speaking of which, Brother Max.
Hey.
It didn't snow by you, did it?
No, man. Matter of fact, it's still 80 degrees out.
I'm loving it.
That's nice.
I'm loving it. We had a beautiful, beautiful week here. The whole week was really nice.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Only problem, if you're going to have a complaint, was just the pollen up here was really heavy.
Yeah, I heard it's been really bad. Pastor Mac got it really bad too, and my daughter-in-law got it really bad. Normally I get allergies bad, but for whatever reason, no problems this year.
Yeah, just it's like it looks like it's snowing with all those seeds blown all around, but no real snow.
Speaking of seeds, now I remember last year I told you that I planted some grapes.
Uh-huh.
And they started coming up, the vines grew, but I didn't expect any fruit. I didn't expect any fruit this year. As a matter of fact, I wasn't even thinking about it. Did I tell you? Yeah, I told you about the dream, Father.
Yep,
that I lived, at least the dream I believe Father gave me of looking at the actual plant and seeing fruit. And I was amazed in the dream. I'm like, wow, that is so cool. And I realized in an instant, wow, it's not about the grapes. Maybe Father was trying to say something else. And I forgot all about the dream until I was doing the lawn. And when I was doing the lawn, like it just came back like a flashback, and I'm like, oh, and I just yesterday I took Matt out, went to go look at the grapes, and guess what's starting to grow?
You got some fruit coming up.
I got fruit coming up. It's little.
Nice.
I did take a picture. I can't even post it now, but I'll put a picture up on Manna Eaters or something.
Yeah, that'd be a good platform for it. Yeah,
little itty bitty
the progression. You got to show the updates and right. Every time it grows.
we had a whole year no fruit, and now all of a sudden it's starting to pop up on all the different vines. And I know it sounds silly, but it was actually a great spiritual lesson.
And
I took it as a message from Father. Fruit's coming. Fruit's coming.
Yep. Yeah.
And then we've got the new plants that we just planted, and I'm not expecting them to fruit this year, but it's so cool. So many lessons. Really this whole thing, really almost I'd say a good portion of what Father I'm just spitballing a number out there, but I'd say better than 70%, maybe even 80% of all of the analogies that he gives us to understand the process have something to do with farming.
Yeah, I agree.
Right? It has some aspect somewhere, or it's agricultural.
Garden, yeah.
Yeah, everything. The whole thing. And so, I'm learning lessons growing some grapes, make my own wine, right?
Yeah. For Pelham, that's you're a homesteader.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, in the city, that makes me a homesteader. That's good.
Although
funny.
You probably have some neighbors that are growing some other stuff in their backyard.
Yeah, right? Yeah, that's growing all over the place around here too. Actually, no, my neighbors they have fruit trees and like I said, figs. They got plums.
Yeah, you have a nice neighborhood over there. It's some nice stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but I was so proud of that, man. I'm telling you, I got to post it. I got to definitely. I'm going to put it on Manna so that everybody can see my the beginnings of my homesteading life.
Yeah, I'm getting lazy. I got to start putting on my photos after I eat my meal. I'm like, oh, I should have took a picture, and then it breaks our whole theory, right? We're not allowed to say what we had. We got to show it.
That's right. So that's sort of been my spiritual journey for the last
speaking of
couple
fruit,
of weeks.
Right? It's a good leeway for today.
That's a good leeway for today. We thought today that we would sort of just sort of reason out the whole thing, go back to basics a little bit. And we're going to do it today. We're going to do it tomorrow as well. We're talking about the heart this week in our morning madness. And I mean, there's like gazillion different passages where you can look up what heart means. But, we picked a couple and we're going to finish talking about it tomorrow. But I wanted to start tonight off with this verse, and it's Isaiah chapter 1 and verse 18. It should
see, and the whole time I thought you were going to start off in Matthew 23. That's what was on the screen in front of me.
Yeah, but that's always up there every time. Yeah, every time you open up that program. It's so
small, it's hard for me to see it.
All right, let me find Isaiah. Isaiah chapter 1, guys, if you have your Bibles and you want to follow along, but I'm going to put it up there on the Scriptures version as well. And let me, you know what, I don't even have this on. Here we go. Isaiah chapter 1 and verse 18. And, we'll read a couple of verses before and a couple of verses after, just for context here. But
I was hoping you were going to start with 1 just to say his name, Amatz. I love that, Amatz.
That's right. Yes, Yeshayahu, son of Amatz, which there it is, which he saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem, right?
Sounds like he's Italian.
Yeah. Oh man, Barino's Deli's closing up, man.
Get out of here.
Well, no, they're not closing up. They're closing up their retail end of it. The sandwiches and all the food. But
just doing catering.
Yeah, they're just doing catering. But that's like a staple out here.
Yeah,
right?
For everyone out there, that's a beautiful Italian deli on the corner by Pastor Dave's.
It's your quintessential
breakfast
Italian
lunch.
New York deli.
Yeah, incredible.
I'm upset.
We look forward every time we go there to getting some food from
everybody does. Everybody that comes out to visit, we got to go to Barino's. We got to get bagels. We got to get pizza. Right? We go through the whole list.
Chicken cutlet parmesan.
And you know what? I think for some context here, the beginning of Isaiah is important. And so, verse 2 says, "Hear, O heavens, and listen, O earth." Remember, the heavens and the earth are the testimony, right? They're the witnesses.
Call heaven and earth.
For Yah has spoken, I have reared and brought up children, but they have transgressed against me. So this is important to kind of what we're going to talk about tonight, because this is really, verse 18 is our key verse, but the context here is, he's looking at his people and they have just fallen so far away, not doing what he's asked them to do, mixing all sorts of things. I'm going to skip a couple of verses just to get some context here. Verse 4 says, "Alas, sinning nation, a people loaded with crookedness, a seed of evildoers, sons acting corruptly. They have forsaken Yah, they have provoked the set apart one of Israel, and they went backwards." I'm going to skip on some more verses. "Hear the word of Yah, you rulers of Sodom. Give ear to the Torah of our Elohim, you people of Gomorrah." So chapter 1, he's not only, saying that they're apostates, he's saying you're in the same predicament Sodom and Gomorrah was in. Frame his verses of, "What use to me are your many slaughterings, your offerings? I've had enough of your ascending offerings, of the rams, of the fat of fed beast. I do not delight in the blood of bulls or of lambs or of goats." And of course, people look at that and say, well, we don't need that. And of course, there is no temple. But what he's saying is that it's not that he didn't want it, it's that what they were presenting was blasphemous.
It wasn't done with faith. It wasn't done with...
No. Verse 13, "Stop bringing futile offerings, incense. It is an abomination to me. New moons, Sabbaths, the calling of gatherings. I am unable to bear unrighteousness and the assemblies." This is crazy. "My being hates your new moons and your appointed times. They are trouble to me. I am weary of bearing them." So these are people that claim truth, but we're doing, things that just... we're so far away from what the truth actually is. Verse 15, "And when you spread out your hands, I hide my eyes from you, even though you make many prayers. I do not hear. Your hands have become filled with blood." That's a powerful one. So all that praying that was going on, because of the things they were doing and the apostasy they were in, it was, I know it sounds harsh, but it was useless. Right? It fell short of Father's ears. Verse 16, "Wash yourselves, make yourselves clean. Put away the evil of your doings from before my eyes. Stop doing evil. learn to do good, seek right ruling, reprove the oppressor, defend the fatherless, plead for the widow. And here's the verse. We're all very, very familiar with, and we know we've talked about this before. This is connected with the whole leprosy thing, the red and the pussy stuff. And so come now, let us reason together, says Yah. Though your sins are like scarlet, they shall be white as snow. Though they are red like crimson, they shall be as wool. But really, the part of the verse that I want us to sort of think about as a thought is in the situation they're in, even though they know of Father, they're doing crazy, crazy things. He wants them to repent. But I love verse 18 because he says, let's think about this. Right? Let's reason this out.
He's willing to reason, yeah.
Right? I think that's so wonderful. That Abba is saying, all right, this is bad. This is really, I'm not even hearing your prayers. Let's think this through. Think about where you've come from. Think about what's gone on. Think about who you are. Think about so to me, and I think I was watching some video on, just the way people fly off the handle. And I know it's terrible, especially because my wife's name is Karen, but that's the term that they use. That's sort of become the new term for, people that just Karens and I think Kevins for guys.
Oh, really?
So if anybody's Kevin out there, I apologize, but
nothing towards you.
Nothing towards you. But I saw a quick little video on it, and you see these people just go bonkers over the silliest, smallest thing, and
they just lose it.
They lose it. I mean, totally lose it. And you're watching this, and if the person that they're going bonkers on is a quote unquote reasonable person, they're trying to talk to them, and they're trying to reason with them. But man, when somebody's in that state, they
don't hear nothing. Yeah, they just see red.
There just is no reasoning, and I think that's an important point for all of us, because I think that one of the things that all of us who are in pursuit of truth, or anybody who really has gone beyond being called and has become the people that are chosen, because that's the process, right? That's the master says himself, many are called, few are chosen, right? And we are the people of Isaiah chapter 1, right? We have been as apostate as these people have, for sure, and obviously lots and lots of us still are. But at some point, we were able to reason.
Yep.
Right. We were able to start to think about things. I'm not going to say just logically, though logically is part of the process, but to really sit down and try to understand what this story is actually about, even in its simplest terms, because the truth is, most of what's put out there about Father is it's pieces of truth. And and at some point we've got to be able to sit down and really reason it out. And I think Yeshua says something similar. I forgot to which of the churches of Revelation. I think it's the last one. Smyrna. I think it's Smyrna. Somebody could look it up, where he says, that to come and sup with me. Behold, I knock at the door. Right, and open, and we will sup. And I think that term sup together is connected to. It's similar to, what we're reading here. Come now, let us reason together. I think the master's saying the same. In fact, I think it really is, because if you read that last church in Revelation, they're doing stuff as crazy as they're lukewarm too. They're apostates too, and still. Now it's the master. Now it's Yeshua saying, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock." Let's reason together. Let's think this thing out.
Wow.
And so I think that's what we should do.
Yep.
So to go back a little bit to basics, let's answer a couple of questions. Let's reason this thing out.
I tell you, as you were reading that, I'm personally reading, in Ezekiel, and that still sounded so so calm compared to the middle chapters in Ezekiel, like 15, 16, 17.
Yeah.
When Yah, he's calling them the whore, and he goes, and you're actually worse than a whore because a whore gets a fee, and he goes, you're paying.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just it's wow.
Yeah, it's harsh. It's harsh.
Yeah. Yep.
And one of the crazy, again, let's reason this thing out. We're going to do some of that tomorrow too, but what you got to, at some point you got to figure out what the actual story of the Bible is. Right? How is it all connected? And it took me, it took all of us years, decades.
Big time, yep.
To really sort of figure that out. And we're still in the process of learning and understanding and realizing there's things that we were doing. How different were we bringing in all the apostate stuff? It's not that we didn't believe Father. It's not that we didn't have faith. It's not that we didn't believe that Messiah died. We may have called him something else. It's not that we didn't believe that, but we didn't have the whole story. And at some point, we needed to really reason this thing out. Have someone explain it to us. Have a teacher, a shepherd, somebody explain it to us. But also us be willing to, just think about things logically. And I think
once we heard, it's what we did after we heard it.
Right. What did you do, or did you? And most people are not willing to do this. But were you willing to reevaluate yourself? And that's a tough thing for people.
Yeah.
My experience.
For mankind, anyway. I think for everyone.
Nobody wants to reevaluate themselves, and normally, whatever context or thing we believe or cling on to is what we want to just preserve forever.
Stay with. Yeah. What's that saying? People remember growing up, once a Catholic, I'll die a Catholic. Or,
yeah. I've heard it. I've heard it all. All the way through from every denomination you could think of. And but reasoning this thing out, really sitting and thinking, and it amazes me that not only is it said here in Isaiah, but obviously also in Revelation under similar circumstances. The church that's lukewarm, the people that who are going to be spit out of his mouth, and yet despite all of that, he still says, "Let's sup together." Right? Let's try to think this thing through as to what the whole story is about.
Yep.
And so we're gonna touch on some of the basics, try to reason this out, some basic principles. We are working on the 101 series, so soon hopefully we'll have a couple of videos, a couple of quick teachings that you could, if you've got friends or you've got family that are just starting to understand. Because think about it. What do you tell somebody? Let me ask you, brother. What would you tell somebody that's just starting to understand, coming from, let's say, a Christian, Judeo-Christian background, right? And they're just beginning to question, let's say, about Christmas or Easter. What do you tell them? Because the story is Messiah came and died.
Yeah. Well, ironically, we're having a situation similar to that in our family right now.
Yeah.
And extended family, and really, it just goes right. Why I think we're touching up today. The basics. You don't want to overwhelm somebody. You don't want to, try to give them everything at one time because it really would be, overwhelming. But simple obedience. Take it from the beginning. I don't tell people to start, in John. I'll tell them to, start in the beginning where it all began, right in the book of Bereshit, right in Genesis. But the person that we're dealing with, praise Yah, has been really susceptible when we tell them about those things like Christmas, the backgrounds. Because if you truly want to serve Yah, if you truly love Yah, don't you want to know if you're doing something that's, against his will, that's upsetting to him, that's, making you in a situation like we just read where he doesn't even hear, your offerings, your prayers, your, sacrifice from your bullocks of your lips, whatever. But just simple obedience. What righteousness is, what's sin, what is sin? What is the definition of sin? Because so many people, if they don't know the definition of sin and they make it up in their head, go into, a party and dancing is sin, especially when it's with your own wife, then there's an issue, because now we don't know that if we're forgiven, right, and we turn and repent, and now we want to walk, as I guess what they would say as a Christian or a believer. Now what? Are you going to continue in sin? No. Now we uphold, the truth, the law, the Torah. So just simple steps in how to walk in it, simple obedience.
I think one of the most misunderstood concepts from where we all were to where we all are now is what grace actually means. Because I think that has been so sort of changed. Stuff has been added to it, because pretty much across the board, I guess we're talking about the Christian world. It's obviously the Islamic world is different, and it's different trying to minister to them, and whatever other religions there are out in the world. That's a whole different story. But from where we came from, we sort of had this idea, and I think there's probably songs that are sung like this, that grace just covers everything.
Yep, no matter what.
That once grace has been applied, there is nothing else that needs to be done. There's nothing for you to do. There's nothing you could do. You're in the hands of Father. You're in the hands of the Son, and it becomes then a blanket statement that sort of just covers each group's different morality set, and that comes by whether you understand what law is and law isn't and all the rest of that. But just to stick with grace, because I saw another crazy video a couple of days ago of these people, young people in their 20s, mid-late 20s, one group of Christians, actually two groups of Christians. One was a group of LGBT quote-unquote Christians, and the other ones were just whatever denomination Christians, and the concept between all of them was, well, we're all together, we're all the same, and I'm thinking to myself,
I heard that.
I'm like, no, you're not, or you shouldn't be.
Nope.
You shouldn't be, and it's because of that idea that there's this umbrella thing, and I don't want to sound like I'm trying to minimize the death of Messiah, because that's dumb. I wouldn't do that. But I think we've taken grace to mean just sort of a blanket statement rather than a fresh start.
Yeah, or I can even, I even say that grace is how Yah extends his love, right? He gives us grace, and then how do we show our love back? Through obedience, right? And it's his first extension. He gives it to us. He loves us, that he extends the grace, but now it's not a permanent thing. It's not.
Well, let's reason this out. So let's just say, for argument's sake, that that grace gets extended. That word is used in the context in which it's used very, very often. Does get extended. You are now you've got that blanket covering. Well, then how do you explain 5 wise and 5 foolish virgins?
Yeah.
How do you explain
depart from me? Yeah.
All right. How do you explain a servant's job is to serve, and he shouldn't think he's doing some great thing because he's actually doing his job? And how do you explain that one talent isn't enough? And that's a crazy thing. Think about that a second, because that's what that parable is actually telling. I think you and I touched on this the other night. We had our own little private call there. If you think about it, that parable is teaching us one talent, it's not enough. So how does that factor in?
Yep.
So when you start to reason this thing out, when you start to think about it logically, you got to come to some questions.
Yeah, I've heard, even, I'm sure, I think you've heard this numerous times as well, is once grace is extended to me, now I'm just resting in Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
You know, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's the extent of the walk. They're just resting in Jesus.
So, and like I said, and there's so many different parables that you could point to. The master's words, I'm the vine, you're the branches. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he's gonna break it.
Yeah. Hey, actually, I wanted to read that. Let me read that. I want to read that Matthew 7.
Sure.
From the Shem Tov, because I really think he does the best job in bringing, the Hebrew understanding. Me and Brother Paul were talking the other day, and it's amazing. If you don't, Father gives us, once we come to truth, we understand, we see these things because who was it written to, right? But without that understanding, it's hard to get it. But anyway, Matthew chapter 7, starting in 16, this is the Shem Tov.
I'm gonna put Matthew. It up on a screen, even though you're gonna read it from the Shem Tov. I still want to put it up on the screen.
Yeah. It's just to see the little bit of a difference where, starting at 16, I'll wait till you get there.
All right, verse 16. I got the cursor right by it. Go ahead.
Okay, so he says, by their deeds you will know them. Does a man gather grapes from thorns or figs or from briars? Every good tree makes good fruit, and every bad tree makes bad fruit. The good tree cannot make bad fruit, nor can the bad tree make good fruit. Every tree which does not make good fruit is burned in the fire. Therefore, it is according to fruit, that is, by their deeds, that you will know them. Because not everyone who says, and then I want to skip down to verse 24. And then it says, again he said to them, everyone who hears these words and does them is like a man who built his house on a rock. So it's a little bit different, right? What does he say? I wasn't looking. No.
It clarifies it. I mean, it is saying the same thing, but that certainly clarifies it. It makes it very clear that there is something we must do.
Yep. Yeah.
The problem is we've never done it. Mm-hmm. And by we mean like humanity. And so what? So go ahead.
No, because I think what we do is we take that belief, right? The Greek word belief, and we run with that because we say in our head, no, I believe, I truly do. I believe, or even, sight or with seeing. You can look at a crowd, for instance, let's do a little bit of current events. You can look at the news from whatever perspective that you're in or whatever party and see 100,000 people waiting on the border to come in, and you see it, but then do you see it? Do you see what this means? Do you see that this is taxing on our nation? Do you see that this is a national threat? Do you see, you can say I see, but do you really see? And it's the same thing with belief. Belief isn't just I believe, because that's why James says, good, the demons believe and shudder.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that are the demons going to be in the kingdom? No. So belief by itself means nothing. And that's why I really wanted to pull up, we can pull up some scriptures in, James and Romans, but along this line that we're thinking right now, because we all know it's Shema, right? Everyone knows, hear and obey. But John, let's go to John 3:36.
Before we get to John 3:36, I want to show something here in this in the context of this this thing about the fruits, and also just a comment. I saw some of the video, and you're right. The way you look at it, the perspective you see it from, is different. You're right, from different parties, different parts of the political spectrum. But I saw the pictures were just mind-boggling. Cannot believe what the people on the border are going through. But what I noticed as I was looking through all of that, I'd say about 80% of them, maybe more, were young men,
healthy young men,
from all over the world. It wasn't this. This isn't. It's not just anyway.
Oh, no, real fast. You can go on that. There's a guy, that bald guy who did that YouTube channel with, remember he went into the Hebrew that he went to one of the houses for Shabbat. He goes into different neighborhoods,
Oh,
all different ethnic groups, right? And he was at the border, and they showed, brother, from China, from Russia, from every country in the world that they're coming through the border.
Yep. Yeah, this is but again, it's how you're looking at it. You have one group looking at it, seeing one thing. But here, I want to show you something, or I just want to make a comment here, because that whole thing about fruit starts in verse 15, and he says to beware of false prophets who come in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are savage wolves. And it's important that you understand before you start reading through the fruits and all that stuff. He's saying on the outside they look good, but on the inside he's using the term savage wolves. Now you think about a wolf, right? If a wolf pack comes and attacks, they're vicious. Of course they're vicious. Yep. They're hungry. They're gonna tear you apart. They can take down a whole buffalo, a thing of wolves. And a wolf is no joke. A wolf is a big animal. Yeah. And we
read German Shepherd, man.
We read this as beware of false prophets, and we're thinking he's just meaning teachers, and false preachers, and he is. There's no doubt that's part of the context here. But anybody can be a wolf in sheep's clothing. You don't have to be a teacher. You don't have, because the rest of this is in support of this statement in verse 15, and I mean, can you, when you hear the master say, in fact, I think it's in later on in these verses, many are going to say to me, master, master. If you are a savage wolf in your emotions, in your attitudes, in your anger, in what you say to people, in how you act. I was watching the video with those people called Karens, and in some of the videos they were saying, I'm a believer, I'm a Christian, and I'm praising, trying to praise God while they're cursing people out. A good tree cannot bear bad fruit. If you are ravenous, if we were to ask the people closest to you, and they were to be honest, how would you describe? Of course, we all have gone to funerals, right? And it's the funeral of the most horrible person on the planet. People get up there and they lie, right? I get it. Yeah, I get it. I get why you would lie, but we have to reason this out for ourselves. We got to think about this. And it doesn't matter what age you're at, because it's this, the standard is the same for all of us. And honestly, I think Father allows us to live. And I forgot where it is. There is a scripture that, in fact, I'm not even sure if it's. I think it's in the Apocrypha, where Abba is asked, why do the unrighteous live so long?
Gives them time. Yeah.
Why are they prospering so much? And he's given them time. He's given them time to reason. He's given them time to realize, I can't say that I am this.
I think.
Is that what it is, Esdras?
I don't know. But it sounds familiar.
But you can't say that you're this, and then act this way. That is the according to what the master says here. If you and I'm not saying you got to be perfect, right? Because I don't want everybody to get us wrong that we're talking about walking in some sort of perfection.
Perfection, yeah, definitely not. Nope.
But
especially Pastor Dave.
But if you are a savage wolf to people, if your character is like that, man, that's scary. Because can you imagine that day? All when he says weeping and gnashing of teeth, what that actually means. If you were to think it out in a very logical way, and we're standing there, people are going to go bonkers. They're going to want to rip their own hearts out because of the mistake. And every day that Abba gives us on this planet, that's grace. That's his extended favor to us to do the right thing.
Yep.
To learn and get better than you were the day before. Again, when I talk about perfection, we all get ticked off. We all, road rage or whatever, get ticked off at people on the highway. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about your character. That if your character is the complaining, the biting, the anger, if it's a savage wolf, you can say that you are in lamb's clothing all you want. Mm-hmm. You can sing all the songs that you want, but those two things can't exist at the same time.
Yeah, all I see is that picture that you used to do. Remember on your studies with the little the flock of sheep, and you got the wolf wearing the sheep's little costume, right?
You making fun of my drawings again?
No, they're great. They're great.
But so and I think this chapter is directly connected to Deuteronomy 13.
Mm-hmm.
Because Deuteronomy 13 is the one, of course, it's the test, right? The Deuteronomy 13 test.
Yep.
And it says if it's your mother, it's your father, if they're twisting things, if they're changing things, if they're getting you, it could be the person closest to you. And I think that's kind of what the master is mentioning here, because it's not just teachers. There's plenty of those out there. It's people. It's all of us. We're all called to either be, if we are his, if we are in him, if we truly have understood forgiveness, grace, and are pursuing him wholeheartedly, it is impossible not to have fruit.
Mm-hmm.
It's impossible. And not by my words, but by his words. A good tree is unable to yield wicked fruit. And that's scary.
Yeah.
That's something we need to reason out. That's something we need to take an honest inventory.
19.
Every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. We need to evaluate ourselves every day.
Yep.
Every day. And I get it. We all have things. We all got issues. But grace is not just a license to stay in right standing with him.
Yeah.
It's the forgiveness for being filthy and now being made right.
Yeah. What is that in Philippians, right? Philippians, I believe,
what?
To work out your salvation with fear and trembling.
Again, reason that out. How would you work out something that you've that's just a blanket thing?
You think you got it in the bag? Yeah,
that's just there. And I think that's a dangerous concept. And of course, you know what that then becomes mixed with, or if you don't understand it, if it's not explained accurately, because then what you'll get from people is, oh, well, then you're working for your salvation. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm working out my salvation. Exactly. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. The difference.
And the only reason I can work is because of his grace.
Mm-hmm.
It is his grace that has given me the opportunity to work. And by work, we're talking, we're talking about loving people.
Mm-hmm.
Being good, being faithful, being a good husband, being a good wife, being good children, being a good neighbor, doing right in business, being moral, being ethical. When you mess up and you hurt something or you break something at somebody's, you don't just fix it. You go above and beyond that.
Mm-hmm. I don't want to, boast on you, but it's like the other day when you sent me the picture. Remember, you were working on your front lawn on the sidewalk.
On the side.
Right?
Oh, yeah. Well, that was
if you're
Torah.
Working and you're going to create a hazard, set up some cones.
That's
make
Torah.
Your neighbor aware that, hey, before you turn this corner, be aware because you're responsible.
Yeah. Brother Max is talking about we've got this big, I don't even know what kind of tree or bush it is in the front of the house, and it grows like a chia pet. And so I clip it, and I think I said this last time, but it's huge. It's really big to clip. So you got to get the clippers, the wire, the ladder. Leaves are everywhere. And we live in the city. Even though it's more suburbs, it's still there's a lot of people that walk up and down the block. So I put up cones. How simple is that? And obviously, cone's not going to stop. Everybody really wants to walk through. They'll walk through. But what a cone does is it says, "Hey, be careful, caution."
Yeah.
Walking over here. That's Torah.
Yeah, it's same thing. If you're working in your yard, don't leave it, and you dig a ditch, don't leave it uncovered. When you're done, if you don't finish it, you cover it up. That's Torah. You're working on the roof. You build, you make a makeshift, what do you call that? A fence.
Yeah.
So your worker doesn't fall off. Or nowadays you can just, attach. But Yah was telling them, hey, it's common sense, but it's loving your neighbor. You want your worker falling off the roof? No.
Yeah, and that's so we're not talking about the Catholic idea of sainthood here.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what this is about. This is about living. This is about becoming a better person because of your love for Elohim, and then doing those things that he's asked, or worshiping him in those ways he's asked us to worship him, memorializing those things he's asked us to memorialize, because they teach us lessons.
Yep.
And so,
but
go ahead.
I wanted to pull up those couple of verses,
all right,
just
where are we?
To show the combination. John 3:36, and I really wish people knew this, like they knew John 3:16, because when you realize this, it goes along with John 3:16, and it changes the meaning a little bit. Let's just read this first, 3:36.
All right, let me pop this up so everybody can see it. Just verse 36.
Yeah, John 3:36.
He who believes in the Son possesses everlasting life, but he who does not obey the Son shall not see life, but the wrath of Elohim remains on him. Now, I get what you're saying, and spot on. I absolutely agree with you. But what's going to be the counter argument, to that within the religious world? Well, you just have to do what the Son said.
Not realizing what Yeshua taught, but
not realizing that everything Yeshua taught is Torah.
And this is why Hebrews, and like I said, now you read John 3:16. For Elohim so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes and obeys,
yes,
shall have eternal life. But Hebrews chapter 3, 18 and 19.
All right. I have my glasses on so I can hardly see here. Hebrews 3?
Yes, chapter 3, bro, and starting at verse 18.
All right. It's up on the screen. Everybody can see it. Oh, the last two verses. Oh, okay. So this is, and we talked about this just recently, too.
Yeah, you can start if you want, 17 if you want.
And with whom was he grieved 40 years? Was it not with those who sinned, whose corpses fell in the wilderness? And to whom did he swear that they would not enter into his rest, but to those who did not obey? So we see that we are unable to enter in because of unbelief, belief being to hear and obey. 'Cause it's the Shema. It's connected to the Shema.
So what's the opposite of unbelief? Believe.
Yeah.
So if they believed, they would have obeyed and they would have entered it. But again, and then the last one is, while you're in Hebrews 5, just go to chapter 5, verse 9.
All right, give me a second. I don't know why it's so slow. Oh, of course it's going to be really slow. There we go. Hebrews chapter 5 and verse 9, you say?
Yeah. I say. Let me see.
All right. Verse 9 says, and having been perfected, he became the causer of everlasting deliverance to all those obeying him.
Everlasting deliverance for those who obey him. And of course, like you said, because... But
I think, and this is all, I 100% agree, this is all extremely, extremely pertinent, but we if we're going to talk to people, if we're going to share with other friends, other neighbors, we really have to define for them what saved means. You know what grace means. Because again, we take saved as, because it's in the past tense, that's it, it's done. And what saved means is the blood of the sacrificial animal has died on your behalf. That's your death. That animal is your death. And the only reason you can approach Father now is because you've died, or something innocent has died in your place. And that allowed you to approach Father, to be forgiven.
Access to the throne, yeah.
Which is all what the whole book of Hebrews is about. Gives you access to the throne. But if you walked away from that offering and you just kept doing the things that you were doing and kept being the person you were being, that offering you just brought and gave means nothing.
Yeah, that no longer remains, yeah.
And that's what he's talking about in Hebrews. There therefore remains no other slaughtering. Nothing that can do what the Messiah's blood, what his death has actually done. And so we've got to think of this in the context of the temple, because it's all related.
Yeah.
You didn't go to the temple and give the offering and be forgiven and then just go live any way you wanted. As a matter of fact, they did do that quite often. And that's why we have Isaiah chapter 1. Because that's why he says, I don't want your offerings. I don't want your feast, all the rest of this stuff, because it means nothing to you. You're not understanding what this stuff is really actually about. And we need to understand that. So I would think, if I was going to speak to somebody that would that really doesn't understand yet, because of course, when you speak to somebody, they want to know the answer to every question.
Oh yeah.
In like 2 minutes.
Didn't we all? Right? We all wanted.
Yeah, we all did. But now we know it's unfeasible. Because really all you're going to get is what you're going to probably get if you give all the answers is just rebuttals to everything. We need to take it piece by piece.
We need to do Acts 15.
Yeah. This is what they got to do first. And I think one of the first things we've got to learn is what Father's grace means, what saved means. Because it's the word saved, it's the word delivered, it's the word justified. Those are all the same words, and they mean the same thing, the same concept. It means you have been forgiven.
Yep.
You have been put in right stand. You were not in right standing with him. Whether you knew it or not, you broke his Torah. Whether you understood his instructions or not, you broke his Torah, his law.
Yep.
And it's not that, and we all heard this, justified. Remember we used to hear that in years ago. Justified means just as if I'd never sinned.
Yep, I remember that.
That's not what it means.
Nope.
It means yes, you have sinned, and something died because of it. And now, like Master says, go and sin no more. Right? Go be obedient now. Go do it. So I think that understanding is if you're going to get back to the roots of things, if you're going to try to speak to somebody in stages, that's the first thing you need to reason out with somebody is, well, what does grace mean? Does grace just mean you can do what you want, live the way you want? Or what about just picking which rules to keep and which rules not to keep? Because I saw that in that video between the two groups that were young people that were Christians. One group was saying the whole lifestyle of the LGBT, that's fine.
Yeah, it didn't matter to them. It's okay. And then,
right? It does, and I think,
but didn't we hear that guy last week? What did he try to use the scripture? Yeshua being like a mother hen, so it's okay.
And they used a couple of scriptures too to sort of try to prop up their meaning. But then you had this other group also of calling themselves Christians that believed that lifestyle, doing those things, and they were quoting the Torah when they were using the verses out of Leviticus as not to sleep with a man, not to dress like a man, etc., etc., etc. That appears, and I'm watching. I'm thinking to myself, yeah, but so it's not right to do this. But that's Father's word. That's his instruction.
Mm-hmm.
What we also can't do.
About that Sorry, buddy.
You can't pick and choose. Right? You can't pick and choose.
Remember, I told you I saw a video like that. I don't know. I don't want to make it up, but it was a while ago on YouTube, and it was a believer, someone that follows Torah, was talking to a Christian, and they had a sign. They were, I think it was like by a library, and they were calling out homosexuality, and he was trying to talk to the guy, and he was like, why do you believe, that this is wrong?
Yeah.
Oh, because I'm a Christian. But why? And he was trying to show him this is the law. This goes back to the Torah.
This is the instruction.
Yeah. So because he was trying to get him to reason. He was trying to get him to think and say, well, if you know this is wrong, then why would you think it's abolished or done away with?
Right.
It just rationally makes no sense.
No. Yeah. When you really start to reason it out, which then eventually the conversation will go to, like Galatians or Romans. We are not under the law. Mm-hmm. Well, then the next step would then to explain that. Mm-hmm. And we're not going to do that tonight, but we'll try to carry the conversation
along. This is why I love Romans 2:13. Put that on there. I love that one.
Yeah, that is.
I mean, because they're trying to quote Paul, right?
I'm sorry, computer is.
That's all right. No, slow. I hear you.
There it goes.
2:13 Romans.
Mm-hmm. Nope, I'm in Revelation.
And I love it because this is exactly what James is saying. James in chapter 2.
Romans 2 and verse 13. Let me pop this up so people can see. Ah, I love it. For the hearers of the Torah.
For not.
Excuse me. For not the. I almost. Yeah, right.
Yeah. The whole, yeah.
You wolf. For not the hearers of the Torah are righteous in the sight of Elohim, but the doers of the Torah shall be declared right.
Right. That's Paul, yo.
That's Paul, yo. Let's do a little PDP version here. And I'm changing it. I'm adding, but I think it's still in context. For not the hearers of the Torah are righteous in the sight of Elohim, but the doers of the Torah shall be saved.
Yep.
Shall be saved.
That changes a little bit of right?
Yeah, just a little bit. Just a little bit. And and we really have to slow down, because again, I we've done this so many times. When you're starting to talk with somebody, they just got like a gazillion questions and they want answers to what's the mark of the beast.
Yeah.
It's like
you
don't want me to tell you, but trust me, you do not want me to tell you what all of that stuff is about. You're not ready for that.
Mm-hmm.
You got it. And I think one of the first things we've got to get settled is the idea of grace or saved or justified. It means forgiven. It means that we were not in right standing with him. Now we are. Now act accordingly. And what do we have to act accordingly? From Moses all the way on, and Yeshua's teaching of Moses and the explanation of Moses. In Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and the book of Revelation. I was reading the 7 letters again, trying to think of some studies I might want to do in the upcoming weeks and months. And man, those letters are pretty powerful. And you realize he's not pulling punches with those people. When we say those people, he's talking about us. Right? He's almost every letter. I think one of the letters that there's nothing necessarily bad said, but all of them are messing up. And warnings are like, shape up or I'm going to take your lamp.
Yep.
That's that's worth reevaluating yourself. That's worth really looking into it. Again, we've been talking about intentional and unintentional sin. Unintentional sin is when you do stupid stuff, you feel bad. You feel really bad. You are convicted of it. You know it's wrong. You've
remorseful.
Seen in the scripture, you're remorseful. Definitely. You don't want to do it again. Right? It breaks your heart to know that you did that. That's unintentional sin. And there is an offering for unintentional sin. But intentional is when you ignore it. You ignore it and say, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And
or then that whole, oh, it's okay. I knew it was wrong, but I'm flesh, so I'm going to continue to doing it. And, same thing, right? You're just saying,
yeah,
I'm good.
You and I talked about this the other day. I really think, and this is maybe just getting a little bit more philosophical, but it's spiritual too. I think both ways, philosophically and spiritually, because they are connected. But I think if you really reason out the whole story, at least this is me. This is the PDP version, so you guys can take it, with a grain of salt. But it seems to me that right from the get-go, that Father put us in vessels that he knew were flawed. I know some people's cackles can come up on that one. He put us in dirt. He made us of the earth. And I think it is because, like any planting, it goes in the dirt, right? That's how everything's farming in the scripture. But the idea is to see what you do with the dirt, what kind of fruit you can grow in the dirt, despite everything that the dirt is and everything that the dirt can do that goes wrong. But the idea is not just to grow fruit as being part of the dirt, but the other end of the story is there's another planting, right? There's another life that's not the flesh. It's not the dirt. And yet the fruit that we learn to produce, despite the flawed nature of our flesh, which again, I think Father purposely put us in, because this whole thing is a test. This is a test for eternity.
The thing about it takes work to grow fruit, right?
It does. And so this is why we get teachings like the Master saying of the talents, or saying, don't store up your treasure. Where? In the dirt. Store up your treasure where moth, and rust and thief, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so I guess another part of the big story, the philosophical way of thinking about this, is this whole thing is a test.
Yeah.
This whole life is a test to enjoy life, because it's life. It's wonderful no matter how you cut it. But the flesh, the dirt, is going to try to pull you down. And we still have to make choices, because those choices are going to decide whether what happens next, and the potential of what that life is that's going to happen next. Because ultimately, I think Father wants people with him for eternity that have passed the test.
Oh yeah.
That heard, that understood, that pursued.
Yeah. If we couldn't do simple obedience here, why would he want us there?
Yeah, I think Sister Paula just put it has to be cultivated. Yeah, there you go. See, as he's looking for cultivate. He's not looking for every grape. Not every grape's going to make it. Right?
Yep.
He's looking. Not every branch is going to make it. He's looking for fruit. But the idea is the next life, and that's tough, because a lot of the modern religious world is centered on what you do in this life.
Best life now,
right?
Yeah.
How you benefit in this life, and basically what it's saying, how do you benefit in the dirt? And what is it? Romans 1 Corinthians 15 or so, where it says, we've been made in the likeness of Adam. We're flesh. We've been in the likeness of the dirt. We are going to be created in the likeness of heaven now. In the likeness of the spiritual. The earthly comes first, it tells us, then the spiritual. And we can never forget that. Everything we do, which is why we need to be reevaluating ourselves over and over again. Don't rest on a prayer you made 6 months ago, 8 months ago. rest on what you do today, and do the best you can. And it's not it's not as hard as you think it is. It really isn't. Know that you have been forgiven, and this clean slate now gives you an opportunity to do what he wants. He wants us there with him, but he wants us there with fruit. Wow. Hour went by already.
I know. That's what I was just looking at. I couldn't believe it.
Hour went by. Good stuff. Well, it's just basic stuff. It's not as deep as the one we had the other day. We're gonna get into some deep stuff. But we can't just always do deep stuff. A couple times
a year, it's nice to go back, right?
Yeah. We're gonna do that. We're gonna do that tomorrow too. We're gonna go back a little bit and try to make a case here, because I want to try to give, along with some of the one-on-one stuff we're going to do, because some people have asked some questions. What do I do? How do I say this to my family? How do I make this argument? And so we're going to do a little bit of that.
And we're all going through it.
Everybody.
Hey, PD, and we decided right for the Zoom call for next week?
The date was what is it again?
21st, right?
That's
I know
Sunday.
that it's Mother's Day this Sunday, so a lot. But the following Sunday.
That's Sunday, the 21st at what we say.
7:30. We'll do 7 or.
Oh, yeah, let's do 7 p.m. Eastern. That's like 5, I think, on the West Coast. It might be 4. Yeah. I don't know what it is with the time differential. So if you guys are checking us out now, we'll put that out there. And I also want to say happy 90th birthday. Happy 90th birthday to Sister Ruth Malatino.
Wow.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Oh, yeah. Kudos to you, dear.
Awesome.
Happy. I just Joanna just sent me a picture over a little bit ago, and 90 years young.
That's awesome.
Good for her. Good for her. And she's a Spitfire, so And
I just wanted to you got a lot of new families coming, right, to your on Shabbat service.
You know what we've got? Fruit.
Yeah, I was about to. I didn't want to get too. I know you might be touching on, but
no, go for it.
Yeah, so no, that's awesome. I know when we were there for Passover, we had a new family showed up.
Yep.
And since then, you've had 2 more new families, right?
Listen, little by little, you just gotta listen. I know we have this concept in the modern religious world that there's got to be lots of people around. Revival is hundreds of people crying at the altar, and that's neat stuff. That's fun. I have no problem with that. But this is a purging process. That this is what the Torah teaches. This is a purging process, and it's not a wide road where there's not many. In fact, the closer you get to the narrow road, the fewer and fewer there are who really want to walk it.
Yep, I agree. This whole picture we have in our head, like you said, of thousands of people a week coming, and it's.
Hey man, listen, that'd be cool. That'd be cool, man.
That's why I didn't finish it. I'm like, it wouldn't be a bad thing, but it's
now the flesh part of me. If there's 1,000 people coming to LMC, I'm gonna buy a helicopter.
There you go. To fly 3 blocks over.
Yeah, 3 blocks. I can avoid the traffic in Country Club.
No traffic.
From my backyard to the roof of the church. Only a small helicopter.
Right? I mean, we're laughing about it, but I mean, come on, man. Isn't that just funny? You got guys that have 2 or 3 of them, 2 or 3 personal, and that's not good enough.
Jets and they have basically 5 or 6 different type of planes, and that's all crazy. I saw a thing
real fast. This guy on YouTube, he's a billionaire, and just to jump on his plane, it's like $50,000 between fuel and the pilot.
Sure.
So can you imagine? And these guys are just on all these people who they're promising prosperity to.
Right? Yeah. They're
short. Everything you got.
But you know what? To me, that's not that is just so obvious. Now it is. Back then we didn't know any better. Back then
nothing to do with.
Back then I thought Joyce Myers was doing a good thing. No, I'm sorry. No.
Something.
No, I know. Hopefully I didn't step on any toes, but that's another thing.
Oh man! All right.
I love you, brother.
Buddy.
Yep, you too, man. So Sunday the 21st, 7 p.m. Zoom call. We'll put out all the information for that, and of course, guys, don't forget to join us tomorrow. Bro, I love you.
Yep, looking forward to it. Love you, man.
Peace, man.
Shabbat shalom, buddy.
All right, guys. Quick conversation that happened really, really quick. Hopefully you got something out of it. An understanding of what grace is. I know we've talked about this before, but we're just trying to reinforce it because I know everybody, most people are dealing with some friends, some family members, somebody at their job that's just starting to learn. And so we want to try to give you some tools to be able to make the argument, to reason. And honestly, if we reason this out, a lot of the answers will come, and Father will open up our minds and our understanding. All right, so guys, enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy your Shabbat. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 10:45 for our weekend service, for our Shabbat service. We look forward to it. Until then, guys, have a great evening, and Shabbat Shalom.